Welcome back to Travel with Abby and Megan. I'm your host, Abby Gray, along with my business partner, Megan Buteau.
Hi.
Together, well, by day, I'm a chef and Megan is a lawyer, but together we formed a boutique travel company in order to explore the world. We love to take folks on culinary adventures and cultural adventures, seeing what the world has to offer in food, wine, museums, anything.
Possibilities are endless.
The possibilities are endless. And we hope to inspire you to travel. We'd like to thank Cookie Giordano for this opportunity, because without her support and constant encouragement, we couldn't bring the world to Charlestown and beyond. So thank you, Cookie. We really appreciate it. And today's show, we want to focus on the city of Bordeaux, because it's a very romantic, beautiful destination in France. It's the biggest wine producing region in the world. And there's also some really beautiful food that comes out of Bordeaux. In fact, this is one of my favorite books. It's called The Bordeaux Kitchen, and it's by Tanya Teskey. It's just an immersion into that area of the world. And she's got beautiful recipes and wine pairings. And I refer to it a lot with my duties as a chef, so I love the book. And we're going to cook for you today several recipes that will translate really well to Boston. You can get all the ingredients here. You can get almost anything here now anyways in Boston.
Yeah, we thought it'd make a great recipe to have for some upcoming Valentine's Day meals to share.
Yes,
So.
and we have some wine pairings for you, which we'll talk about when Megan and I take you to Saint Emilion. And we got some beautiful cheese, where you'll see a video of our friend Steve at
Boston Public Market.
Boston Public Market at Appleton Farms.
Yes.
And he and he gives us also some great information about the trust.
Trustees of the reservation.
Trustees of the reservation. I can never remember anything. Megan remembers everything. So I'm going to teach you how to make steak l'orange today, and a beautiful beet and orange salad with walnuts and goat's cheese. Here on the table, we have some gorgeous French cheese that is it's actually from Martha's Vineyard, because it's from Massachusetts, the Massachusetts Cheese Council, which Steve talked about. And it is made on Martha's Vineyard, but it's very similar to a poisse or a brie. So it's very creamy. It has a nice, it's got a beautiful rind. It's very rich. It's somewhat expensive, but it's worth it for Valentine's Day.
Right.
And you can serve it with baguette, or you can serve it, I got a little ficelle. You could put it on, you can also serve it with your salad. So as Steve mentions in the video, the Europeans tend to do their salad and cheese course at the end of the meal. So we're going to just let everybody taste this when we finish filming. And you can eat it in whatever order you want.
Well, that sounds delicious. And now while Abby's cooking up a storm for us, I'm going to take us on a little tour of Bordeaux. We'll start off with La Cité du Vin, which is a beautiful wine museum that just opened in June of 2016. We'll be sure to check out the Pont de Pierre, or the Stone Bridge. And then we'll also check out the beautiful Opera House and learn more about the Michelin star restaurant that Abby has had the opportunity to visit. So we look forward to cooking and having some tours around Bordeaux.
So now we'll just take a break so we can set up to cook for you.
40% of food in America never gets eaten. When we start to think differently about our food, we can get a lot more out of it.
So welcome back to Travel with Abby and Megan. This is our cooking segment, where I'm going to make the steak l'orange and the beet and orange salad with the goat's cheese, and then we'll show you what the chocolate tureen looks like. So to start, when we're doing the steak l'orange, the French use a cut of beef called the spider steak. But it's the hip joint steak, and it has a lot of nerve tissue. And typically in France, the butcher saves it for himself. It's a lot of work to take the nerve tissue off, although it's filled with collagen, so it's actually good for you. But it just makes it a very expensive cut of meat. So we didn't have that today at the butcher, so I went and got a New York strip.
That looks delicious.
Which, yeah, it's a beautiful cut of meat. You always want to see the marbling, and the fat is good. It gives it flavor. You don't have to eat it, but it's good to have around the steak. We're going to wait for that for a minute, because that cooks for about 5 minutes each side, and while you're talking about other things, we'll
Okay.
cook the steak and I'll make the salad.
So
But
now, I just had a quick
Go ahead.
question. While we're
Yeah.
doing a Valentine's Day dinner for two, how much steak would you recommend?
I think, so that's about a pound and
Okay.
a little bit over a pound. Really, you're supposed to eat 3 to 4 ounces.
Okay.
My husband would definitely want half of that. He's a lean guy. Your husband's a lean guy too, so they could eat half of it. Women are suggested to eat 3 to 4 ounces.
Okay.
I do think it's a great idea, no matter what you're cooking, what culture, is to weigh your food, because then you can eat everything,
Yeah.
right? So we're going to start the sauce, and the sauce is really what makes everything. In fact, for my one big birthday coming up in a few years, way off, I want to go to the saucier school in Paris. But Megan, would you hand me the duck fat?
Sure. Wow,
So
this
you can
looks
get
amazing.
this recipe. We'll put it at the end of the show, and you can also email me at cookingwithabbygray@gmail.com to get these recipes. We are going to take some duck fat. So it's just a beautiful sauce. You use, what do they say here? A tablespoon, okay? So I don't measure much of anything. So duck fat you can buy now at the store. And I just bought this today at Big Y. Duck fat is a beautiful fat to cook things in. It gives a ton of flavor. That's right, I can put that there.
Okay.
We also need butter, but not yet.
Everything's better with
I'm
butter.
going to take the shallots. Okay, so duck fat and shallots. And these just smell beautiful. Now, a shallot looks like this. It is a French onion. They're called shallots. They're typically a bit more expensive than red onions or yellow onions or Vidalia onions. If you didn't have a shallot, I would say use whatever you've got.
Oh, okay.
But the shallot does have a distinct flavor, and it really comes out. It makes you cry when you cut them. It really comes out when you put it in butter or duck fat. Okay, then the other thing we're going to do is we're going to cut half an orange. I'm just going to move this here a minute, because we're going to use the juice of the orange to blend in with the shallots and the duck fat to make the sauce.
Delicious.
That's the l'orange. And then while Megan's telling you a little bit about Bordeaux, I'm going to salt the steak, and I'll show you what we do. We take coarse sea salt. The French take finer salt, but I don't, because I feel like it's too, I just don't. I use coarse sea salt because I feel like fine salt is too much, almost. It's more concentrated, it feels like, if you put it on the steak. So you always want to salt from on a high, so you get an even coverage, and you want to salt both sides of your steak, because it also starts to draw out the blood and the flavor, which isn't gross. It just creates a beautiful sauce in the pan, and then that is what helps create and build flavor. So the juice the blood that's released from the steak is that beautiful juice that's going to mix with the l'orange.
Sounds amazing.
All right. So will you talk for a minute? We can talk together. I'm just going to cut this orange in half.
Okay.
And I am going to then juice it. Look at how gorgeous this is. We got these from Albee yesterday in the North End, and I think Albee's in our show a little bit later. We have some
Great footage inside his produce shop.
Yeah, he's in the North End on Parameter Street. I always say the wrong street.
Yeah.
It's Parameter Street, right off of Salem Street.
Right.
And he has a beautiful shop, really fresh ingredients.
Yeah.
Yeah. So where are we going?
So while Abby's working on that, we're going to take a look at the Bordeaux map. Now, Bordeaux is the hub of the famed wine-growing region and is a port city on the Garonne River in southwestern France. It's known for so many beautiful things. Its Gothic Cathedral, St. Andre, 18th, 19th century mansions, and notable art museums such as the Musée des Beaux-Arts de Bordeaux.
They also have a gorgeous art school there that students from all around the world go.
Yeah, Bordeaux is really, they say it's only second to Paris in places of art and architecture, so it's definitely worth checking out.
My friends who just moved there, Emmanuel and Brad, they would tell you it's first to Paris.
Yes. Well, we don't ask the actual people in Bordeaux. This is just the literature we're reading. And one of the most popular places actually to visit is the Grand Place de la Bourse, and it's centered on the Three Graces Fountain, and it overlooks a beautiful reflecting pool. But one of Abby and I's favorite places to go, and we feel it's not to be missed, is the La Cité du Vin. And you'll see a picture of this, and we can take a peek inside as well. Now it's a wine
building.
Yeah, it's an amazing building, and it's a wine museum, but it's not.
Just gonna turn this on.
Oh, yeah, thanks. It's not a traditional wine museum in the fact that you just go and you look at the wine presses and you learn about how wine is made. It's really a nouveau type museum.
Well, shaped like a decanter.
Right, super contemporary. And on the inside, they have 7 floors of exhibits, movies, shows, projections, and academic seminars all about wine, how it's made, where it comes from, how to drink it, how to eat with it. So it's really pretty amazing.
Well, I think the developers of that museum didn't want it to be a stodgy old wine museum.
No, they wanted really something contemporary and something just really that would really showcase wine, how it's meant to be enjoyed today.
Yeah.
So,
Because a lot of the old wine museums in Bordeaux and France, they just used to put the presses in there and some glasses, and that was the museum.
Right. So, and one of the highlights, definitely, I mean, there's so many highlights to this museum, is that at the end, they have a tasting room, and it's called the Belvedere, and it's a 360-degree view of Bordeaux. So while you're sitting there looking out over Bordeaux, you can sample not only some of Bordeaux's best wines, but the best wines from really around the world. So it's a museum that's truly about amazing wine.
And if you go, you can try their sommelier list, which you can get almost any amazing glass of wine from the region, like a Margaux.
Yep.
You can get for around €8.
Amazing.
It's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That in and of itself is enough reason to go, I think.
And just so you know, you'll see orange peel. I meant to.
Oh, okay.
I took the zester out, forgot it, old brain. But what you can do is just cut off some of your orange and put it in the sauce. It'll flavor it in the same way.
Sounds delicious.
Yeah.
And we talked a little bit about the different workshops they have at the museum. So you could go and have a workshop on wine and cheese, wine and chocolate, sensory tastings, all sorts of different things. And an exhibit that Abby and I are looking forward to checking out this upcoming May when we have one of our trips there is called Mind Blown. And it's how art and design take on glass. So
And I'm
we're
hoping
really
to buy a
excited.
lot of new hand-blown wine glasses.
Sounds like a great
And
opportunity.
they make beautiful decanters.
Yeah.
Yeah. Really cool.
Now, Abby, you were going to talk to us a little bit about a favorite chef of yours.
Yeah, so Joel Robuchon, he died last August. He was a French icon. He's a beloved chef to anyone really who's studied cuisine. And he was, I believe he was from the area. I think he also had a beautiful restaurant in Lyon, but he had a gorgeous restaurant in Bordeaux. And he often talked, you know, as we're starting to now in the Boston area too, like sourcing ingredients and working with all those purveyors at Boston Public Market and around. He always touted the ingredients from Bordeaux. So some of the things like oysters. He thought the best mushrooms came a few kilometers outside the city. Raspberries are really big.
And why is that?
Because it's because of the terroir of we'll talk to you a little bit about that, but the terroir in where the wine is grown. Each town has a little different like acidity. So it's clay, limestone soil, and each different chateau claims a different mix-up of that. Or I'm saying the wrong thing. It's not professional, but mix of that. And so the terroir for raspberries is particularly good.
Right, and you had said it was similar to the grapevines also?
Yeah, so it's similar to the grapevines.
So it kind of complements the grapevines when they grow, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
And duck is a big thing in that area. By the way, you can just see your steak. You want to get a nice sear on that. So I always, if I'm not grilling it, when I cook steak inside, I typically use a cast iron pan. You want to get a beautiful sear, so you want a hot pan, and you want room temperature meat. You don't ever want to just take it from the fridge to the pan. You want to let it sit for about 10 to 15 minutes. My mother would be terrified of it getting full of bacteria, but that won't happen as long as you keep it safe.
And you didn't put any oil in the pan. Did I see you put a little salt down?
I put a little more salt.
Just in the pan
A little
before you
more
seared
salt,
it.
yeah. You don't have to because we salted the steak, but I do. It's because it just pulls those juices out. Now this is a grass-fed cow, so you won't get as much fat or marbling as you would on a grain-fed cow.
Oh, okay.
Okay. I kind of like a little more fat, but it's just a preference. It's just a preference. Okay, and then here our sauce is like these. I don't know. Let's see. You can see. Can you see this? Where do I go? There we go. Okay. So you see the shallots are becoming brown, and you want that. You kind of want You're not really caramelizing them, but they're going to become brown in that fat and with the orange juice. So it's really pretty. And I'm going to put a little bit more orange juice in there.
Okay.
Okay.
While Abby's working on that, we're going to take a look at the Pointe de Pierre Bridge in Bordeaux. And in English, it's Stone Bridge. And the thing that I love about this bridge is that it's actually 17 pillars, and it was designed during Napoleon's reign. And so the 17 pillars are for each letter of his name, Napoleon Bonaparte. So just a little kind of fun fact. And it connects the left bank and the right bank of Bordeaux.
It's a beautiful bridge.
Yes. And each pile of bricks is capped by a white medallion, also in honor of that empire, Napoleon, and it carries the coat of arms of the city. Oh, yeah. So it really is kind of a symbol of Bordeaux. Now, next up on our trip around Bordeaux is a restaurant that Abby had the pleasure of checking out, and it's a Michelin star restaurant in the Intercontinental Hotel.
Yes.
Right, Abby?
Oh, yes, it's one of my favorites. So I went there and I ate by myself because I wanted to experience really the food and wine and not have. I took some pictures, but that's all I did, and it was really cool. I never pronounce it correctly, but it's Le Presse d'Argent. I'm going to study French. It's a Gordon Ramsay restaurant, but really the star of the show is Gilad Gilad Pelé. And he is a Michelin star chef, and Gordon Ramsay tapped into his
amazingness.
His amazingness. He does beautiful food, which I think we'll have a few pictures for you, but it's a beautiful pairing. We go there on the tour. It's, I think, 6 to 8 courses. Everything is absolutely, one course is better than the next.
And we were talking about how they just really tend to cook very seasonally, so it would be depending on what's in season.
They use a lot. They use the crops that are around them.
Yeah.
And of course, wine is so big, obviously, in Bordeaux that they, a lot of the sauces are wine-based.
Oh, okay.
Pardon me. A lot of the sauces are wine-based. They do things with duck eggs.
Oh, wow.
Gorgeous, like duck eggs. Caviar they love. So, like, I know I had duck eggs with caviar and roe.
Yeah. Sounds delicious.
I can't remember all the courses I had, but it's in a beautiful setting in a dining room that sits up above the lobby and the entranceway to the Intercontinental, which Megan actually told me, which I didn't realize before, was the Intercontinental is made up of 8
mansions. Yeah, 8 mansions that had been there in the center of Bordeaux. And a lot of the architecture was designed by Victor Louis, who then went on to design many things in Paris. So
did he also design the opera?
He did, which is directly across the street, right from the Intercontinental.
Oh, that's so cool. Sorry if you're getting smoked out there, Megan.
That's okay. It smells delicious. But yeah, so they took these when they renovated and made the Intercontinental. Took these 8 mansion houses and put them together. And so upon leaving that, you look right at the Opera House, which is a beautiful building. And the theater was designed, like I said, by Victor Louis, and he later designed galleries that surround the Palais Royal and the Théâtre Français in Paris. Now, the Grand Theatre de Bordeaux was conceived as a temple of arts and light with a neoclassical facade.
Ooh, nice.
So it has a portico of 12 Corinthian-style colossal columns, and then has 12 statues that represent the 9 muses and the 3 goddesses. Juno, Venus, and Minerva are the 4 goddesses.
It's pretty cool how they do that.
Yeah.
They're really gorgeous at night. They're all lit up and you can see them. I think we have a picture of that too.
Yes, yeah. Now in 1871, the theater was briefly used as the National Assembly for the French Parliament, And then had, as we had said, had been restored in 1991, and the original blue and gold colors were added back. And the Grand Theater, the Opera House, is one of the oldest wooden structures in Europe that wasn't burnt or had to have been required to have been rebuilt. So it's really a fascinating and beautiful building.
But here's a little thing. Oh shoot! You can't take the tour in English.
Right, it's just a French. The tour of the Opera House is just in French. It's about a half-hour tour. But maybe you want to catch a show, or it's just worth having a look at. Now, today the theater is home to the Opera National de Bordeaux as well as the Ballet National de Bordeaux. So tons of things going on, lots of opportunities to see the building, and check it out. Now, as we're getting close to mealtime and we're thinking about some wines to pair with it, seems like a good time to head out of Bordeaux, out of the city proper, and head out to the chateaus out in Saint-Emilion.
Yes.
And one of the wines
that
we had featured was from the Chateau Le Monde and Chateau Soutard. And those are it's one of the oldest vineyards in Bordeaux.
It
started in like the 1500s, and it went through many, many family members until more recently it was bought by a insurance company.
Yeah, it's a grand. So think of Downton Abbey.
Yep.
Okay, it's a grand hotel. Chateau. It's a big, old, gorgeous house. They're millions of dollars to run a year.
Right.
So that's why a lot of times the French are a little upset sometimes because like the Chinese insurance companies come in and buy the chateaus, and to the French, they don't know if they're going to keep the integrity of the chateau. That's not a commentary on culture. It's just that Chinese aren't necessarily known for wine. But as it turns out, this particular insurance group came in and really upgraded the facility, the wine cask, the elevators, the tasting rooms, so that it could still function as a working chateau.
And they kept some members of the family who had been running the vineyard, had been running the winery on staff. So I think it seems like they're really staying true to their mission while just really being able to plug a lot of resources into it to make it amazing.
They didn't want. They kept obviously the family members too, because you don't want to throw the baby out with the bathwater. They don't know about winemaking,
right?
And these people, the family members, do, and the staff's been there a long time. It's really a lovely place. It really works.
Yeah.
All right, so I'm just going to put this out.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
So now what do we have here?
Oh well, this is our orange and beet salad. So you can do it a couple ways. You could peel the orange, which there's a culinary term which just left my brain again. But it's pretty that way because you can just eat it out. It comes out very nicely with a fork. And then I had pre-cooked a beet. So this is a beet. This is what a beet looks like before you cook it.
It's a root vegetable.
A root vegetable. It looks kind of like nothing, but the minute you start to peel it, it becomes this beautiful red here. It becomes this beautiful red. It gets pink all over your fingers. It'll come out, but it gets pink all over your fingers. But it's beautiful color, and you can actually use the beet juice to color other things.
Oh.
Like if you're doing ricotta and all kinds of things.
Oh, wow.
That's for another show. But this is what it looks like. You peel it. You boil it for about half an hour, and then it will become tender to eat. Okay? And then you just take some regular goat's cheese, wherever you can get that. I just use the plain. You sprinkle it around, and then you put the walnuts on top. And I would probably even put, it sounds a little odd with the fruit, but I'd just put a little bit of salt and a little bit of pepper, and you could also put what?
Oh, that looks amazing.
Yes. Okay, so then
I think as we're wrapping up.
Yes.
What else do we have for our meal here?
Well, we have the steak, which I'll plate in one moment. If you can hand me that plate. And we have to taste everything. I'm just going to taste this sauce. I'm probably going to add a little bit more orange. Okay. The shallot's got a little while we were talking, but we can save the sauce with the orange. And then for dessert, we didn't, we can give you the recipe as well, but we did a chocolate terrine. And I'll show you. Are we looking at that camera? Yeah. So this is what it looks, it's like kind of like a big velvety brownie. And it's just chocolate, sugar, coffee, butter, and eggs.
Wow.
Yeah. And then you, you do it all over a bain-marie. You do it over a water bath. You cook it in a bowl over a water bath. You whip in the eggs at the end. Okay.
Yep.
And then you put it in a, you can use it even a foil pan.
Oh, okay.
Okay. And then you bake it in a water bath for 40 minutes.
Oh, okay.
The key is you have to let this sit in the fridge overnight.
Ah.
Okay. And that's how you get the, it'll set, and then you just turn it out and slice it like a pound cake. But it's beautiful. It's very condensed and rich. It's beautiful for Valentine's Day. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is I'm just going to test. So what I do is the steak has been sitting in the pan for about, I don't know, however long we've been doing this, okay? So I would do medium rare. So that is perfection. You don't want well done. I mean, maybe you do, but you really don't. Like that is absolute perfection. That is medium rare. So we're gonna put it on the plate like that. And what I will do, since we're gonna put a little butter also into the pan for 1 minute. I'm just gonna do this super quick. I put a little butter into the pan. And then I'm going to spoon my sauce over. I'm going to do a little bit more orange just because it adds a little bit more flavor. So we'll just do a little bit more orange and just do a little bit of orange over the steak itself. And then we'll get this other nice piece here. And this butter sauce. And you see you get that gorgeous sear, which is what you want on the steak. You get that gorgeous brown sear and the perfect color in the center. So what I'm going to do, if you want this brown butter, remember to put your towel or a pot holder so you don't burn the heck out of your hands, like that. Okay. And then we're going to spoon some of this sauce. But I will tell you, don't talk while you're cooking your shallots. It happens to the best of us, but it's all right.
Still looks delicious.
Yeah,
and I'm
looks
sure
delicious.
it's going to taste even better.
It's going to look delicious. You get the beautiful flavor of those shallots. Okay, so when we're serving professionally or in a restaurant, or if I'm serving guests at my home, you always wipe the plate. So you take a wet towel, usually a wet paper towel. And what I might do is just like serve some beautiful rice or some just cooked red potatoes maybe with a little bit of maybe a mushroom ragu, because that would be very French.
Yeah.
If you wanted to do a starch, or you could put this on a beautiful bed of greens.
Oh, yeah.
So let's see, should I cut you a piece to taste, Megan?
Oh, sure. How can I say no to that?
Megan and I like lunch. So it's hard not to eat this beautiful food, and we will definitely share some with the staff. Let me just taste it first. So, oh wow. All right. This is life-changing. I might use up all my points today, Megan.
Well worth it, I think.
I don't want to give her a linebacker bite.
Oh,
There we
thank
go.
you.
See what you think.
Okay. Wow. Amazing.
Yeah, I think the love of your lives or your friends would absolutely love this. All right, so beaten orange salad. We'll taste that in a minute.
Yep.
Steak l'orange, the chocolate terrine,
Yep.
and a trip around the city of Bordeaux.
Can't go wrong.
Can't
Sounds
go
like
wrong.
a recipe for an excellent Valentine's Day.
It does. So again, we'd like to thank Cookie for giving us this
Yes,
opportunity
thank
for
you.
the show. We hope you have a beautiful Valentine's Day, and thank you so much for tuning in.
Yes, thank you. Until the next time.
Bye.
Bye.
Arrivederci.
A bientôt.